on ELN Morning.
Casting your ballot. On the first day of early voting in North Carolina, what you need to know before heading to the polls.
Preparing for parties. What residence life is planning to send your way ahead of Halloween weekend.
And encouraging allyship, understanding the spectrum of experiences during the LGBTQ History Month.
Today, October 15th, 2020.
This is ELN Morning. Good morning and welcome to ELN Morning. I'm Isabella Seman.
And I'm Ellis Chandler. Thanks for joining us.
Today is the first day of early voting here in North Carolina. Our Maeve Ashbrook is live at one early voting location in Burlington. Maeve, good morning to you.
Yeah, guys, Hollyhill Mall is one of 5 different early voting locations here in Alamance County, and it's the closest one to Elon. Now, the line here is really long today. It practically wraps around the building before getting to the physical polling place, and voters tell me that you can expect, once you get inside, an electric-style ballot where you actually pick your candidates using a Q-tip. Once you've gone down that list, pick your candidates, it prints a ballot, and that's what you turn in. Now, I also talked to one group of Elon students who is here waiting in this line. They say that they're early voting to avoid longer lines than this one and potential canvassing from campaigns.
The longer you wait, number one, the lines get longer, but then number two, you don't want to get to election day and be voting at election day. And that is like the worst.
I think it's so important to vote, and I don't like that people like to push it off until last minute. So it's really important that I get out here early. I'm also like the anticipation of it too.
It is also important to note that the Board of Elections is not requiring you to wear a mask, but all of those Elon students say they've been impressed with how many people are wearing one today. If you're not registered to vote here in North Carolina, you can still come to an early voting precinct, register, and cast your ballot. So if you are not registered, there is still time to get in here and cast your vote. Live here at Hollyhill Mall, Maeve Ashbrook, ELN Morning.
Maeve Ashbrook, thank you so much. And new this morning, an Elon poll finds what North Carolina residents think about politicians' handling of coronavirus. Nearly 1,400 people graded President Trump and NC Governor Roy Cooper through an online survey. Over 40% of respondents graded the president's response an F. Opinions on Cooper's reopening of the state are more varied, with 53% grading him B and C. Keep up with our website, elonnewsnetwork.com, for the full breakdown of the poll. And with the election just 19 days away, our Baylor Rodman is here in the studio with information on the governor's race here in North Carolina. Baylor?
Yes, good morning, Bella and Ellis. This morning we take an in-depth look into the gubernatorial race between incumbent Democrat Roy Cooper and Republican Dan Forrest, who made their pitch to voters in the first and only debate last night. Now, according to Cooper's website, he's running to continue to make North Carolina a place where people are better educated, healthier, have more money, and the opportunity to live their lives with purpose. On the pandemic and last night's debate, Cooper discussed actions he has taken thus far to slow the spread of the coronavirus.
When I mandated masks, our cases leveled off. But then Dan Forrest lied to the public and said masks don't work. He even sued me to stop our safety measures. Thank goodness he lost.
Cooper says in a second term he will continue to work toward Medicare expansion, higher teacher pay, establishing paid paternal leave, and combating the opioid epidemic. Now, on the other hand, Forrest, who has served as the state's lieutenant governor since 2013, is running on rebuilding North Carolina's economy and says he will never tell a business that they are non-essential. In the debate last night, Forrest was critical of the governor's handling of the coronavirus and said the focus should be on protecting the most vulnerable.
If he'd spend half the amount of time, half the amount of energy, and half the amount of money just focusing on the most vulnerable in North Carolina, we'd have half the amount of deaths in North Carolina as well. We need to make sure that we can do 2 things at once in America, and we can protect the most vulnerable, and we can allow the healthy folks to get back to their livelihoods.
Forrest's other campaign promises are establishing school choice, giving students the best education regardless of their zip code, defending the police, and implementing voter ID laws. Now, of course, we should mention neither candidate responded to Elon News Network's multiple requests for comment for both general information and for an interview. Now, but for the latest coverage of all the races down the ballot across Alamance County, visit our website, elonnewsnetwork.com, and click on that politics tab. Isabella and Ellis, back to you.
Baylor Rodman, thank you. And today, President Trump will visit Greenville for a campaign rally this afternoon at 1 p.m. Democratic Vice Presidential nominee Kamala Harris was expected in Asheville in just an hour from now, but canceled all of her events through Sunday after 2 campaign staffers, including her communications director, tested positive for coronavirus.
With only 16 days until Halloween, Residence Life is planning ahead for the holiday weekend. Ian Reynolds, one of the associate directors of Residence Life, says the trick-or-treat on Greek Street and the trick-or-treat at Mill Point will not be happening this year. Residence Life is also anticipating more activity among students living on campus for Halloween and will implement more neighborhood walks for student staff. However, even with Halloween almost 2 weeks away, Reynolds says he is not too concerned about student behavior because he trusts the Elon community.
I think before even having to recognize the importance of doing for others, we already have that spirit and that culture amongst our Elon community. So that's something that's given us an edge in having to enforce some of these things at times for the betterment of all.
For more information on Residence Life protocol, students can go to elon.edu/readyandresilient.
And after the break, Royal Reflection, one alumnus's thoughts on a virtual homecoming.
It's beautiful skies out here this morning, and I will tell you if it will continue into this weekend right after this.
Cailey Cetani is live on Citroen Plaza with your Phoenix 5-day forecast. Cailey, what can you tell us?
Good morning, Bella and Ellis. Today we are going to see clear skies, and as we go on, clouds will come in with hitting a high temperature of 78, and as we go on into the evening, we will see some rain showers with the temperature dropping to a low of 58 degrees. Now moving on to our 5-day forecast. For homecoming weekend, prepare for variable weather. Friday, we will have your umbrella ready, and we will see a temperature hitting a high of 62 and a low of 40 with rain throughout the day. Saturday, it will be sunny with a high of 62 and a low of 39. And on Sunday, we will see partly cloudy skies with a high of 67 and a low of 46. Now on Monday, we will see cloudy skies with a high of 74 and a low of 52. And on Tuesday, we will see cloudy skies with a high of 75 and a low of 58. That is your Phoenix 5-day forecast. Back to you guys in the studio.
Like some perfect fall weather, Cailey Cetani, thank you so much.
Former homecoming royalty Derek Lusser wanted to attend homecoming in person, but is attending virtual events online when he can. He says he was numb when the university announced the new format, but that he looks forward to meeting other alumni on the West Coast.
I've been personally feeling disconnected from people in general because I haven't had many opportunities to meet people since being here. So I'm really looking forward to just meeting other alum, finding other sources of community outside of the school I'm at now, and just building relationships.
Luster says this year's homecoming nominees should appreciate the time they do have left at Elon.
Still the people at Elon, they're still the community. And in a few months, all of that will be gone to them. And it'll be a little bit more difficult to connect in that manner. So just cherish your last moments at Elon. What you have left there is very important, and you'll miss it.
Voting is still open on Phoenix Connect for this year's homecoming royalty. Be sure to grab a copy of this week's pendulum or visit our website elonnewsnetwork.com to learn more about each candidate. Elon's basketball teams will now play in a new format announced by the Colonial Athletic Association. Elon will be playing all of the schools that they typically would in a regular season. However, instead of playing an opponent once at home and once away, it will play both games either away or home within the same trip. The only time this differs is when Elon will play the College of William & Mary in late February. The official basketball season started yesterday. Women's basketball coach Charlotte Smith said in an interview with ELN this morning that official practices began yesterday, which means teams will be practicing in full capacity.
And after the break, how the Elon Fellows programs are adapting with coronavirus precautions. October is LGBTQ History Month. This month coincides with National Coming Out Day and the historic marches on Washington for LGBTQ rights. It is observed as a celebration of queer history and progress. As part of the queer community here at Elon, Assistant Director of El Centro, Danny Pino, says his intersecting identities have made him a stronger person and says it's important to remember that pride is different for people all around the world.
Pride to me is really like knowing who you are, staying true to that, and educating others on it too, why they should care. And even if you're not able to do that because it's not safe, or you're not able to do that because you yourself are not as educated about your community as like maybe someone else or something, it's still like owning up to like who you are.
Important to educate yourself on LGBTQ issues, even if you are not part of the community. It says even a small amount of research can be a big step in combating ignorance and helping queer people feel safe.
Do a little bit of research. It's not dedicating your whole life to it, but literally like a 5-minute quick Google search will probably land you a couple articles about like what to say, what's proper language to use, and what are some encouraging things to be like a good ally and a good friend to whoever's coming out to you.
Students can go to the GLC, El Centro, or the Creed for resources on LGBTQ communities of color, and allyship. For more of ELN's continuing coverage on the LGBTQ History Month and observation at Elon, visit elonnewsnetwork.com.
As the coronavirus continues to linger, all Elon University Fellows programs have adapted their on-campus activities and off-campus trips scheduled for the foreseeable future. Elon Freshman and Leadership Fellow Jasmine Brown looked forward to moving on campus with her entire cohort, but had a different experience when she arrived. While half the group now meets together in their Elon 101 and Global Experience classes, there has been little opportunity for them to connect as a whole.
Different because like we can't be with the other half of our cohort, but I think it was always like that. But I think they had more programs where they could and activities where they could be together. But since COVID, we're always separated. So I don't really know the other half of the cohort, just like the side that I'm in class with.
Academic Director of the Honors Fellows, Lynn Huber, says while they had tried their best to create new ways to run their usual fall and winter term trips, most programs have no choice but to reschedule. Huber says in the meantime, student leaders have stepped up to create an authentic experience as possible. As of now, all future trips during this fall semester and winter term have been canceled, but are being evaluated to potentially take place during the university's newly announced May semester.
That's all the news we have for you today. Thank you so much for joining us. For all the news you need to know when we are not on the air, visit elonnewsnetwork.com.
And be sure to follow us on social media at Elon News Network. Have a great Thursday, Elon. Stay safe and stay healthy.